Have you ever had one of those moments where you're scrolling through YouTube, Instagram, maybe TikTok, and it feels like everyone else is getting somewhere while you're standing still? One person's starting a business, another person just bought a house, someone's channel's blowing up, someone's getting in the best shape of their life, and meanwhile, you're sitting there wondering if you're doing something wrong. You start asking yourself questions that probably sound familiar. Why does it seem like everyone else has it figured out? Why am I not where I thought I'd be by now? Why does success feel so far away? I've thought about that question a lot, and honestly, success doesn't feel far away because it's impossible. I think it feels far away because we have completely unrealistic idea of what success is supposed to be like. When you're younger, we picture success like it's a destination. You just work hard, stay focused, and eventually you arrive. You get the job, you make the money, buy the house, you reach the financial freedom you've always dreamed of, and then everything falls into place. At least that's what we tell ourselves. But then life happens. You realize things take longer than you expected. A lot longer, actually. And suddenly the timeline you had in your head starts falling apart. I remember when I was younger, I thought by my mid-20s, I'd have everything figured out. I thought I'd know exactly what career I wanted, exactly where I wanted to live, exactly what my future would look like. I watched YouTube videos of people a few years older traveling the world and living the life I wanted to live. Then I got older and realized almost nobody has it figured out. Not at 25, not at 30. Honestly, sometimes not at 40 either. Most people are just making the best decisions they can with the information they have. They're learning as they go, just like you, just like me. Social media doesn't show that. Social media makes it look like everybody has a plan. Everyone has confidence. Everybody knows exactly where they're heading. And after seeing that every day, it's easy to start feeling behind. The problem is that we're comparing our real life to somebody else's highlight reel. Think about it, right? Nobody posts the boring parts. Nobody uploads a video called Day 437 of Slowly Improving My Life. Nobody shares screenshots of the opportunities they missed. No one posts dozens of the failures that happened before something finally worked. We see the outcome. We don't see the process, and because we don't see the process, we start believing success happened overnight. Nobody shares screenshots of the opportunities they missed. Nobody posts the dozens of failures that happened before something finally worked. We see the outcome. We don't see the process. And because we don't see the process, we start believing success happened overnight. But almost nothing worthwhile happens overnight. Let's say you decide you want to get into shape. You go to the gym on Monday, you work hard, you leave feeling motivated. Then you look on the mirror on Tuesday. Nothing's changed. You go again on Wednesday, still nothing. A week later, nothing. 2 weeks later, you might see a tiny little bit of a difference, maybe not. The point is, the effort and the reward are completely disconnected in the beginning. You put in all this work and get almost no feedback. And that's exactly why most people quit. Not because they're incapable, not because they don't want it enough, but because they expect the visible results way too soon. Same thing happens with almost everything else. Start a YouTube channel, your first YouTube video gets 30 views, then 20, then 15. You spend hours editing and feel like no one cares. You start saving money. Your account grows by a few $100s. It feels insignificant compared to where you want to be. You start learning a skill. A month goes by and you still feel like a beginner. Everything worthwhile feels slow when you're in the middle of it. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why success feels so far away. We're always looking at where we want to be instead of where we started. Imagine two people standing at the base of a mountain. One person looks at the top and thinks, there's no way. The other person looks at the next step. Both people are looking at the same mountain, but only one of them is moving. A lot of us, including myself, spend so much time staring at the top of the mountain that we never take the next step. We become obsessed with the gap between where we are and where we want to be. And the bigger the gap looks, the more discouraged we become. But here's something I've realized. The people who eventually succeed aren't always the most talented. They're not really always the smartest. They aren't always the luckiest. A lot of time, they're just the people who stayed around long enough. That's it. They kept going. When other people got discouraged, they kept going. Things got boring, they kept going. When they weren't seeing results, they kept going. And that's not the very exciting answer. It's actually kind of boring. But the truth is, success is boring, at least most of the time. It's not some dramatic movie montage. It's waking up and doing something you don't feel like doing again, and again, for months, sometimes years. The funny thing is that when people finally become successful, everyone notices the result. Nobody noticed the repetition that created it. People see a successful YouTuber, they don't see the hundreds of videos that nobody watched. People see the business owner, they don't see the years spent working, wondering if it was going to work. People see the athlete holding the trophy, but they don't see the thousands of hours of practice. Success always looks good from the outside. It almost never feels quick from the inside. Another thing that makes success feel so far away is comparison. And honestly, comparison is probably the worst today as it's ever been. 100 years ago, you compared yourself to the people around you. Today, you're comparing yourself to millions of people every single day. You can open up your phone and instantly find somebody richer than you, more successful than you, more attractive than you, more talented than you. No matter how much progress you make, there will always be somebody ahead. If that's how you're measuring success, you'll never feel successful. Never, not at all. The goalpost keeps moving. You hit one goal and immediately start looking at someone who's further ahead. And suddenly, your achievement doesn't feel like an achievement anymore. I've done this myself. Maybe you have too. You reach something that you've always wanted for months or years, and for a brief moment, you're happy. Then you take a look around and realize somebody else is doing better. And just like that, the satisfaction disappears. The crazy part is that if you could go back a few years, the current version of you would probably be living the life your younger self wanted. Think about that. There are goals you've already accomplished that you completely take for granted now. Things you wish you once had just become normal. That's how quick we adapt, which is why chasing success alone can be dangerous. Success isn't really a destination, it's a direction. And I know that sounds cliche, but hear me out. Most people think success is reaching a specific place, making a certain amount of money, owning a certain thing, achieving certain milestones. But what if success is actually becoming the type of person capable of achieving those things? That's a completely different way of looking at it. Because you might not control every outcome, but you can control who you're becoming. You can become more disciplined, more patient, maybe more skilled, more resilient, and those things matter more than people realize. The person you're becoming today determines the opportunities you have tomorrow. That's why I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is focusing entirely on results. Results are important, but they're delayed. The habits come first, the work comes first, the consistency comes first. Results, they show up later, sometimes much later. And that's hard for people to accept. We live in a world where everything is instant. Instant entertainment, instant delivery, instant communication, and we've become so used to immediate rewards that anything requiring years of efforts feels impossible. But some of the best things in life still operate on a different timeline. Trust takes years to build. Relationships take years to grow. Skills take years to master. Careers, they take years to develop. Success still requires patience. No app can speed that up. There's no shortcut to replace it. And maybe that's actually a good thing, because if success happened overnight, it wouldn't mean much. The struggle is part of what gives it value. The journey is what changes you. So if success feels far away right now, maybe that's okay. Maybe you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Maybe you're really not behind. You're not failing. Maybe you're just in the part that nobody talks about. The part where you're putting in effort and not seeing results yet. The part where things maybe feel slow. The part where progress is happening beneath the surface. Because that's where most success is built. Not in the spotlight, not in the highlight reel, but in the quiet moments when nobody's watching. When you choose to keep going anyway. And one day, I think you'll look back and realize something. Things that felt, impossibly far away weren't achieved through one massive breakthrough. They were achieved through hundreds of small decisions. One day at a time, one step at a time, one choice at a time. And that's when you realize success was never as far away as it seemed. You were just too close to the journey to see how much progress you were making.